mentioned earlier during our legal session, I will make the notice, or I will make the announcement this evening that a public notice was given to the community, and we met at 4:45 p.m. this afternoon in legal session to discuss legal matters. So I'll make sure I take care of that as housekeeping. This evening, our invocation will be led by our IT Director, Tony Fisher. Vice Mayor Gibson will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. We'll set the agenda during our traditional meeting at 6 o'clock. We have approval of the minutes from July 9th, 2018. Are there any corrections or modifications of that particular minutes of that meeting at this time? Vice Mayor?
Mayor, I had made Ms. Betty aware of just a correction on one of the votes that dealt with the beer board, and I believe it was the Royal Panda, that there should have been an abstention included in there.
Okay, so the clerk, you have that action? Yes. Okay. All right, thank you. Any other corrections or modifications at this time? I'll make note of that during the meeting as well. Takes us to item number 6 on the agenda, special recognition. Germantown Education Foundation, Treasure for Teachers. Mr. Lawton.
Mayor, this is the only item under special recognition. We'll have the Executive Director of the Germantown Education Foundation come forward and encourage, as part of her presentation, the participation by people in the community to help support our teachers as they start the new school year, and ways that they can leverage, and the Education Foundation can leverage classroom expenditures and purchases for teachers as they start the new year.
Any questions for staff? I guess teachers report tomorrow, I believe, and school starts on the 6th this year. Takes us to item 7, Alderman Liaison Reports. We'll go from position 1 through 5. Item 8, Citizens to be heard. If any citizens come forward this evening, we'll be prepared to have them speak to the board. Takes us to the consent agenda. Item 9A, Contract, City Hall, Elevator Replacement. Patrick.
Thank you, Mayor and Board. As the Board is aware, the elevator in City Hall has been out for around 8 to 9 months. It's out of ADA compliance, obviously, but even if we were to repair the elevator itself that currently exists, it would be out of ADA compliance. So we had dollars incorporated into the FY19 CIP to replace the elevator altogether, which will create a larger elevator for folks to maneuver, in particular residents in wheelchairs. But we're also asking the board to accept 2 alternatives that would create a police dispatch area and also a mop room upstairs, because when we expand the elevator, the men's restroom upstairs is going to be useless essentially. 3 bids came in. 6 contractors attended the pre-bid meeting. 3 really good bids, very close to our budget, and we're recommending the low bid and the 2 alternatives from Grinder, Tabor, and Grinder, Inc.
Thank you, Patrick. Questions for staff on this particular item? Brings us to item 9B, Contract, GPS Contract, 1-year extension. Patrick.
The city has a GPS system in place for all of its city vehicles, from emergency services to public works vehicles and community development, et cetera. And the GPS system allows us to gather a great deal of information about the use of our city vehicles, everything from speeding to auto reports to excessive braking, those type of things, also to validate trip reports as well. And we're recommending a 1-year extension off the State of Tennessee statewide contract number 199 in the amount of $46,862.55 to continue this program.
Thank you, Patrick. Questions for staff? Alderman?
Patrick, do we have any information, any data available that tells us exactly how much money that we're saving, or how often this is being used, and who monitors it? I mean, is this program really saving the city any money? Is it just costing us $46,000?
I'll let Mr. Douglas address the cost-saving portion of it, but it's a technology that's available to us. Much like other things, it's kind of hard sometimes to quantify the savings to it, but we get information such as trip report details, we get information on driving time summaries, We get information on distance driven, and we also get good information about the vehicle itself, from coolant to the charging system to other things associated with the vehicle is on the road, and it greatly assists the fleet in that area. And Ronald can correct me if I'm wrong, we have not looked at quantifying the savings from doing this. This is a technology that's available to us. We've had great success with it in terms of understanding our drivers and driver behavior and trying to correct those if necessary. Speeding, for example. If an individual, I believe, is going over, where's 85, they will get a text message from the city that says you're in excess of speeding in this vehicle, or where your location. You should be here and not there. Ronald, sorry.
Yes, to answer your question, as far as savings dollar amount, we have not looked at it in that aspect. It's been a matter of trying to change driving habits, and it also tells us when a vehicle is about to fail. Shortly after this software and the hardware was installed, it actually sent our administrators at Fleet Shop email that a fire engine was not charging, and they were actually on the site. So they were contacted and was told to bring the truck to the shop so it could be repaired. So it helped out in that aspect. I actually got a call not too long ago about the vehicle that I use around town, that the battery was dead. I didn't believe it, so I went out and tried it. Sure enough, it was dead. So our fleet services actually monitor those emails that come to them directly.
Any other questions for staff?
Mayor, I might just recommend that we get some data back and maybe start taking a look at some of this. Maybe we approve it this year, but going forward, we start tracking some of this information and decide if we need it on all the vehicles, or if maybe we can only, if we could limit it to some. And even if we cut this cost in half, I think it might make sense. You know, if we have vehicles that are just delivering mail around town, maybe we don't need it on them, and maybe we do. I don't know. I need someone to come back with some type of data for me to look at, so that I can make an informed decision about whether or not the cost benefit is here for us. And I'm not saying that it's not, Mayor. I just would like to look at that information myself. So if you can do it, I would really appreciate it.
Yeah, we have a lot of data. I would ask you, could you help me out as far as what type of data? Because
Sure.
There's 21 different points that are measured on each vehicle. So I just...
Well, rather than giving them to you right now, how about I put it into an email and send that to you? Would that help you too?
It would.
Okay, I'll do that.
Okay.
Be a good Lean Six Sigma project. Thank you. Any other questions on that particular item?
Are we utilizing this for the fire department also? It's
Yes.
the same thing.
All
that
vehicles.
helps y'all to get faster to the location? Does it help?
It wouldn't be part of the response time.
Okay.
Brings us to item 9C on the agenda, right-of-way acquisition, Track 5, Forest Hill Irene Road improvements. Mr. Lawton?
Thank you, Mayor and Board. The next 4 items deal with various tracks associated with the necessary right-of-way for the improvements to Forest Hill Irene Road between Poplar Pike and Winchester. The work to be done, we would like to have it coincide with the construction of the new school and the widening of this road to open up when the school is complete, about this time next year when school opens up. So the one you have before you, actually the first 3 are with Forest Bend Properties, and all 3 of these acquisitions were based on material that was put together by Trotz Real Estate Appraisal Services, who's under contract by the city to do this work, and they used the market data brochure approach to make a fair offer to this individual group. An offer was made at $5,400. They countered the offer and was agreed to pay these individuals, and they signed that. It'll be agreed to tonight if the board approves it. excuse me, to approve it for $8,200. It also improves some, made some changes to driveway access on this property. That's track number 5.
Thank you, Patrick. Questions for staff? Any questions for Track 6 or 7, all owned by the same partner or group?
Yes, sir. 9D, 6, and 9E, Track 7, all are owned by Forest Bend Properties, Inc. And included in your packet is a map that Mr. Galtney provided that shows where on that section of Forest Hill these properties are located, and 5, 6, and 7 are located in the southeast portion of the project.
Thank you. Any questions on any of those three items? Let's move to item 9F, right-of-way acquisition, Track 13, Forest Hill Irene Road improvements.
The last item that we're presenting to the board regarding right-of-way acquisition on Forest Hill is for the tract owned by Julie and Michael Repkeen in the amount of $3,400 for the purchase of real estate. An offer was made to these folks to purchase the right-of-way, and they agreed and negotiated a settlement in the amount of $3,400, the original offer.
Any questions for staff? Item 9H, purchase annual fleet and heavy equipment tires. Mr. Lawton?
Ms. G, Mayor, sorry.
I'm sorry, I'm G.
It's okay. G is a grant from the state of Tennessee, the Tennessee Disability Coalition grant totaling $3,575. It's to expand the outreach program we do at the library under the direction of Mr. Page to assist folks with special needs, to include the book club that we do, to expand that to our special needs population, and also hire a part-time intern to assist in this process as well. Give credit to Alexa Robinson, our grant writer, who worked very closely with Mr. Page in securing this funding. And the board is asked to accept this grant this evening.
Thank you, Patrick. Any questions on this particular item? Now, item H, purchase annual fleet and heavy equipment tires.
One of the largest purchase we make on an annual basis for routine items and replacement items at our fleet maintenance shop is heavy equipment tires, and we're recommending the purchase of these tires from Stapleton Tire Company in the amount of $55,000. This price is coming to the city off of a statewide contract for the purchase of these tires. And last year, in the background section, we spent an estimated $54,000 on tire replacement. So this is in line with the purchases we've done in the past. And the funding for this is included in this year's budget in fleet services. And they also, this company provides a variety, Stapleton Tire provides a variety of different type of tires, from Firestone to Michelin to General and Bridgestone.
Thank you, Patrick. Any questions for staff? Item 9I, professional services agreement, supplement 2, Forest Hill Irene Road improvements. Patrick.
Thank you, Mayor. There was, just to kind of piece these supplements together, there was an initial contract with Gresham Smith to do the work for the widening of, the preliminary design work for improvements to Forest Hill from Wolf River all the way to Winchester. We made a presentation to the Board of Mayor and Aldermen, and direction was given at that time in December of 17 to move forward with the plans and specifications for the widening of the portion between Poplar Pike and Winchester, as opposed to the northern section. That was supplement number 1. Supplement number 2, coming to you this evening in the amount of $5,000, is to provide for design work for irrigation for that portion of the widening of Forest Hill in that area. Irrigation in the median. The roadway design has 2 lanes, north and south, and a center turn lane, but there will also be medians in that center turn lane as well, and this will provide the design work for the necessary irrigation associated with the project.
Thank you, Patrick. Any questions for staff? That concludes the consent agenda. We move to regular agenda. Item 10, project development contract number 1223 and final plan, Forest Hill Heights amended plan development, Phase 19, the district at Watermark. Mr. Lawton.
Thank you, Mayor. The board is asked this evening to consider a development contract with the district at Watermark, which will allow for the construction of 310 unit multifamily development located in the Forest Hill Heights area. Contract number 1223 is a standard development contract. The approval of the contract or consideration by the board this evening will allow construction of Phase 19 in the Forest Hill Heights area. Amended plan development. Mr. Cameron Ross will make the presentation on this item this evening.
Thank you, Mr. Lawton. Questions for staff? Takes us to item number 11 on the agenda, revised final plan, the shops of Saddle Creek South PUD amended.
If you've driven around Saddle Creek South, you notice that there's a need for additional parking in this area. This will provide additional 50 new parking spaces over a drainage area. It says a parking deck, but actually be one level that, however, it will extend over this drainage area. That's why we're calling it a parking deck. It'll be primarily used by employees and valet parking at the restaurant, but it will create an additional 50 spaces in that area of Saddle Creek. And I believe Cameron or Tim will make this presentation.
Mr. Ross will?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Patrick. Questions for staff on this particular item?
Mayor, is there any participation from the city on this project as far as money?
No, sir.
Any other questions for staff on this item? That takes us to the conclusion of all the agenda items. We are adjourned until 6 o'clock.